Looks like we're ready to go, right, Laura?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Highway Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. It's very nice to have so many visitors with us today. We do have a lot of things on the agenda, so we're going to try and move through them, as quickly as possible. I don't know if we want to start with a public comment, or Laura or are folks going to speak when their turn comes on the agenda?
I think they just wanted to talk quickly about some stuff that we talked about CAC that involves you guys. So, I mean, if you want, they can just say what they had prepared, and then anybody who wants to stay on until we discuss it can, and anybody who needs to drop off can, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I didn't know what the plan was, if they wanted to do that at the beginning or both. So yeah, anyone who wants to speak now, otherwise you can wait till the agenda item, either way or both.
Okay, my name is Ashok Ramasubramanian. I am a new member of the CAC, and I'm going to take a couple of minutes to talk about our biodiversity initiative, please. So first, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about biodiversity. And as we all know, all of biodiversity is under threat, but we are going to talk now about how our community can help with insect biodiversity. Insects, including pollinating insects, are disappearing at an alarming rate. This is not an opinion, it is verified scientific fact. Among other things, we depend on insect pollinators for our food, and when insect populations decline, bird populations will follow suit, and other things will happen. And what can we as a community do to help? We in the CAC propose a community-wide awareness campaign to promote pollinator-friendly practices. Specific examples include low-mow and no-mow areas that the town controls, and encouraging pesticide-free yards. And specifically, as a starting point, we request that the area at Blackneck Hill be designated as a low-mow area. And as other communities that have done similar things in the past have shown, signage is critical. We need to let our community know via signage that low mow and no mow and other such practices are deliberate acts that are taken to preserve habitat and promote biodiversity. And community outreach will be crucial. We would like Niskayuna to be a leader that other communities would follow. And lastly, we shouldn't forget that the issues of racial justice, climate justice, and biodiversity are very intimately linked. Often it's minorities and communities of color that pay the heaviest price, and we believe that the time for action is now. And that's our prepared statement.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Again, there'll be an opportunity. I think we have it, later on the agenda if anybody else wants to, speak further to the issue. Anyone else for public comment at this point? Okay, we'll move on with the rest of the agenda. Ray, the first item on there is yours. Ray, I saw you on here. Are you with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so we're starting with your items, Ray.
Okay. Number 3 will be water break road cuts, 7 related cuts. The bill is attached for $2,100. Number 4 is drainage region in Plum Street. This is ongoing thing's been going on for years. We've tried to mediate it by putting some restrictions in. And tried to, we called locations in last year to try to come up with a remedy to undo the 90-degree turn where the drainage is. It's kind of been identified that that's where the problem lies. The utilities for one of the homes on the corner prohibited us from trying to do something to try to retrofit and make this alleviate the bottleneck on that corner. So last year, I believe, the the highway committee had proposed maybe doing a drainage study with some possible other ways of coming up with a solution for this. And it is occurring again. I was there the last heavy rainstorm with flooding. Brian Apkarian had sent emails out to town hall, to me, to Denise. So, you know, I think at this time, probably the study would be the best way to alleviate these problems in that area.
How would we go about doing that, Ray? You know, we went to the site, you talked to me about some ideas you had, but you know, how do we go forward with such a thing? I don't know the process.
My recommendation would be get Josh Hawley involved. They could possibly do a preliminary study of it, and if it needed design, we may have to look at an outside engineering firm to remedy this, or at least come up with some solutions for us.
Okay, so I'll talk to, you know, Matt, and Josh, and we'll connect offline about this issue, see what we can do to, you know, move the issue forward. You did, you know, bring me up to date that it's been something that's been going on for years. So we'll get some more, you know, history on it, see how we can move forward. Thanks, Ray.
One follow-up question. This is Alexis. Sorry, I'm the black screen. As always, I'm still blow drying my hair. But is this the same area, right, of the couple that came and spoke during privilege of the floor, and who also, I think Paul Briggs and I had a pre-trial conference with because they were getting parking tickets because they weren't able to park in their driveway? Is this the same general area?
No, this is Regent and Plum Street. I think
So-
that was maybe Thackeray Court in Hexham Gardens. I think that
No,
was.
I think it was the I have the it was I think it was maybe just one street down off of not Regent, but I can find the address. Paul Briggs, do you remember what I'm talking about? We ended up dismissing the parking ticket.
Oh, the one with the tree?
Yes.
Yeah, because there was this drainage issue, and he had to park on the street or because of the drainage. It was
That's a
right.
different resident, but yes, it is all incorporated in the same thing.
Oh, yes, because it's kind of the drainage study. Because I know that we had represented that couple that we were going to do a drainage study as well. So I think multiple residents would benefit from it.
Right. Yeah, that is in the same area and is affected by the same thing.
Okay, so looks like we need to do some more work, you know, offline to address that. So we will do that. Thanks, Ray.
Ray, we did get a estimate back last year, preliminary for budgetary purposes, forest drainage study of that area. So that is something that we've looked at, and we can reach out to that engineering firm and get some more definite numbers. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that'd be good. I know we had talked about it many times, and that's actually good that we got a start on that. You know, I go there every time it rains, and I can only say sorry to these people so many times, you know. So that's a good thing that we got the ball rolling on that. Thank you.
We'll follow up, and we'll discuss it offline.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5 is yard waste. Although we haven't currently announced that we're on schedule, the trucks are pretty much on schedule. There hasn't been a week that we haven't gotten through the town. So everybody that is paying for yard waste is getting their services. Like this week, we had many trees down over the weekend from Thursday to Sunday. Crews were out multiple times with down trees. So we're doing a courtesy of picking up loose brush along rather than have the residents have to tie it up and be in, you know, what the code calls for. So we're a little bit behind this week, but in general, and we will get through the town in 1 week, but we are pretty much on schedule, but we just haven't announced it.
Excuse me, Ray, It's Michelle. How long will you be doing that loose brush? Because we get calls all the time about, yard waste.
Well, we're kind of unofficially doing it. I mean, we can't pick up real huge stuff, but we're trying to grab the bundles we can without putting us so far behind schedule. We actually have the bucket truck out with a chipper doing larger piles. So we're trying to accommodate if they call you, have them call down to Patty and we'll put them on a list and
Okay.
we'll take a look at it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, number 6, the paving schedule. Attached is a paving schedule. We just started, well, we paved the bike path, but we just started paving our first few streets, Alva, Port Huron, and the courts over there. They're currently paving today over on Dorwall Boulevard. So the first few on our list, 1 through 5, will hopefully be completed this week. I've kind of looked at a time frame. We're a little behind, but with COVID and coming up with unique ways to do it, it's been a challenge. So I did a time frame, and I'm looking at this was one of our biggest lists to date for the number of roads that we were going to do this year. So my current assessment is that we will do roads 1 through 26. And also the Lock 7 project. And that will put us into late September. I think 27 through 32 will have to be on hold and possibly be the first roads for next year, would be my recommendation. This should give us ample time to not only pave the roads, do the landscaping, and all the necessary stuff that goes with paving, driveway aprons and stuff like that, to complete the jobs. So I think at this time, I would look at doing 1 through 26, along with the Lock 7 project, which will be August, when the work winds up at Lock 7. To our closest update off of Lock 7, that looks like when we would be able to do our section.
Okay.
With that, we got about between 1 through 26 in the Lock 7 road, we'll be paving about 5.8 miles of road.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm going to stop you here for a second because I jumped right into public comment and I failed to take attendance, Lori, if we could do that. And also I failed to make sure we approve the minutes from the last meeting. So sorry about that, folks. I was so anxious to hear from our public that I missed those items.
I can start attendance. I have a bunch of numbers that I'm going to need to read out because they're dial-in. So if they could, when I read out the last 2 digits, if someone could just tell me who they were, that would be great. There's myself. A number ending in 00. Okay, and a number ending in 17.
Lori.
Is that Janet?
Yeah, 00 is probably me because I'm calling from the office.
Got it. Okay, thank you. A number ending in 17.
17 is Josh Hawley.
Thanks, Josh. A number ending in 18.
That's Linda O'Brien.
Thank you, Linda. A number ending in 67.
That's Yasmin.
Thank you, Yasmin. Okay, and then I have Alexis Kim, Ashok. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your last name. Ramasubramani.
It's Ramasubramanian.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's not really
Brian
my last name, but
Backus.
that's a story for a different day.
Chief McManus, Ellen Devereaux. One second. Sorry about this. Jean Susnow, Julie Lohr, Catherine Adams, Laura Robertson, Matt Yetto, Michelle Martinelli, Rosemary Jaquith, Paul Briggs, Pete Ravicka, Ray Smith, and Stan Pominski. Have I missed anyone?
Thanks, Lori. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 30th, 2020 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I heard Janet and Yasmin, so one of those, Lori.
You got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. All right, my apologies. So we're going to go back to Ray. Ray, you already really talked about bike path paving. Unless you have anything to add, I think you can move on to the personnel update.
Okay, personnel update. New hirees have all been notified of their from the last town board meeting to be hired. They're doing the appropriate paperwork and that. Janet's working with them. Thank you to Janet for making this so painless. We still have one on workers' comp, really no update there. We did hire 3 student workers at the last town board meeting. They're doing their paperwork as well. And we look forward to them starting. So that's
So
where we're at help.
How are we doing on catching up with work, Ray?
We're doing good. Parks are being, we're catching up. A lot of the little things are getting done. You know, as far as bathrooms being open, Charlie and Ronnie worked on them, hooking up all the water and stuff.
Ray, you shared with me recently the amount of land space that you mow. Why don't you tell everybody how much mowing we do? How much acreage?
We mow approximately almost 500 acres.
Wow.
Huge amount of territory, you know. So, and you know, it's so broken up. There's a lot of cul-de-sacs in your neighborhoods. A lot of people don't realize that we mow them. We do mow them. Sometimes the residents mow them. They like to keep them their way, but majority of them that the town crews mow. Driving range, all the facilities, the police shooting range, all the edges of the bike path, and there's a lot of green space. So
yeah, it's amazing. All right, thank you. All right, so the next item is we're going to interject here with the Niskina and with NCAP. There's been discussion about these great signs. NCAP's a great partner, been a great partner to the town and the district historically. Jean Sosnow was with us. I know, Jean, that you were attended the public safety meeting yesterday. You shared some samples, and there's been some additional discussion about perhaps adding, vaping. We remember when we changed that at the school district, Jean, to address that issue. Anyway, why don't you jump in here and we can have a little bit more discussion about that.
Sure. We would love to have vaping on there. However, vaping is not prohibited by the town, so we can't call out vaping specifically. So we've included the general statement about no smoking.
Right, and that's the change that we hope to make. Councilwoman McGraw brought that issue forward. There has to be a public hearing to amend local town law on that issue. I was surprised that we haven't done it yet, but we will take care of that. It certainly needs to be done.
Right. Well, we do have, NCAP has the funds to be able to purchase the signs at this point. So whether we try to divide up that order and include some language for future use, I'm not sure how to go on that, but we're perfectly prepared right now to produce as many as 25 signs to go in areas that have been identified as problem areas in our parks and along the bike path.
Yeah, I think there was some more inclusive language. I think that was proposed that goes beyond that, so I think recreational spaces, et cetera.
Right.
And I know there's some timing issues, so we're going to try and, make the changes on our end and still, adhere to your deadline as far as funding.
So you think that might happen before the end of, well, the grant fiscal year is September.
Right.
So
Yep, that's what we're operating on. We want to take advantage and, make sure we can take advantage of your timeline and the signs. So we're going to.
Well, that's great then. So we'll just, if we've got the concept down and people are comfortable with the language that exists at the moment, and then to add specifics about vaping, that would be great.
So this is Paul Briggs.
Yes.
Denise and I have been speaking with Jeannie Orr. She's from Capital District Tobacco Free Communities, and she's very anxious to have vaping. Denise and Jeannie to have vaping prohibited in the town. So Denise's timeline is to try to have that in place before the signs are produced.
Okay.
I can speak to the language. I circulated it. It was at 7:30 this morning, so I'm not sure if the town board had a chance to review it. But what it would say is that currently it just says smoking is expressly prohibited, and it defines smoking as devices involving tobacco, and vaping and electronic cigarettes have nicotine. So what the change would be with that, it would say smoking, vaping, or the use of e-cigarettes is expressly prohibited within the confines of the Niskayuna Town Park. And then it just defines vaping and electronic cigarette for purposes of, so it would still be the same citation to section 147, /5, parenthetical H. So you wouldn't have to change that aspect of the sign. And also just as because kind of a nuanced point, I didn't realize until I looked a little bit further that New York State, I think it's Article 13E of the Public Health Law already prohibits vaping and use of e-cigarettes within a certain, I think it's 25 feet of a playground. So even, that's obviously that preempts, we have to abide by that as a minimum. So I don't know if you want to divide the order so that we can move forward, knowing that we can still put these signs regardless of the local law if it's enacted in time up at playgrounds.
Okay. Well, we certainly can do that, but that kind of, once we give you the signs, it's kind of up to you guys as to where you're going to put them and what the timing is. So I can give you, I need more information on my end to see how quickly we can turn these around, dividing the order and everything. So if you think that the language for vaping can happen quickly, then maybe it's worth just waiting.
Yeah, I think we can I think we're going to discuss it during a special meeting today. And I think it would just be a matter of just adding after, alcohol, drug use, smoking, including vaping and e-cigarettes is prohibited. I think that's just as simple as the change would be. And we can get an answer to you on that. I know you've been attending the meeting since March, so someone will have an answer to you very shortly.
Oh, that's okay. And a lot of things have slowed down the first half of this year, so that's perfectly understandable. We did talk when we were at NCAP talking about the signs. We had proposed multiple colors, but I got the impression that maybe that wasn't the best way to go, that there were different feelings about that, maybe sticking to one color. Safety committee liked green, but you folks can also let us know about that too.
I like the idea of the one color. I'm not tied to any color. If the public safety committee liked the one color, I don't care. They're all lovely, but I get the point of having it consistent. The consistency. Then you recognize the same. The color associate. You saw one sign, you see it somewhere else. It's the same sign.
Okay, great.
So, thanks, Jean. Again, we'll get back to you. I
appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I guess, Ray, we're going to get back to you on, you started talking about, town parks. So item number 10.
Okay, number 10. I think discussion regarding cleaning, stocking, park bathrooms. I'm sure Alexis can speak more to this than I can. I know Charlie had opened them. I know he has put some additional dispensers in some of the bathrooms, but I think Alexis could probably speak better to this.
Yes, the bathrooms are my expertise apparently at this point with COVID. No, yeah, I'm happy to speak to this. That's good to hear. So at what locations did Charlie end up adding extra soap dispensers? Because that's one of the, it's not me being, trying to be a dictator on how clean the bathrooms have to be. The CDC just says that we need to make sure that we don't need to disinfect, but we have to have adequate hand hygiene supplies in the bathroom, at a reasonable, we don't have, not 24/7, we can't guarantee that, but we're doing it more than once a week. So I thought the solution would just be adding additional soap dispensers. And it seems like that's happening. Did you only install them at like the most frequently used bathrooms, or are you in the process of doing it at all public park bathrooms?
I think currently he did River Road, and I think he did Blatnick Park, and he's in the process of installing additional ones at the train station.
I saw some at Avon when I was there. So there's an additional like freestanding soap dispenser at Avon Crest.
Yeah, I think
that one's for the playground camp. I think that's hand sanitizer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he concentrated on the ones where the camps were starting at first, but he is working his way through all the parks, adding additional stuff for the convenience of the residents.
Okay.
And the other bathroom, I guess, so Matt Yetto is aware of this, is that for the Blatnick Park playground camp, we're working with Niskuna Baseball on an arrangement to allow the campers to use the private bathrooms near the concession stand area. We're just working out just the details. Matt Yetto turned on the water, I understand, and had to do a little bit of a big clean from a trespasser. But regardless, I think the only thing that we're waiting on is just the green light from President David Fields that we're able to use them, and that in exchange for being able to use them, we would agree to put soap dispensers there, because right now they just have like a household hand soap and like a paper towel roll. So we would just put in our soap dispensers and paper towel rolls, paper towel dispensers, and then agree to restock them over the 5-week period.
Okay, sounds good. And I went over the schedule with Ray in terms of when bathrooms are open and when they're closed there. So I'm going to, probably be helpful to let residents know about that. So we'll get that information out to residents. For the most part, all our public restrooms are on a timer. They open up at 6:45 and close at 9, right, Ray? Except for Avon Crest and the, by the pool, the rec center, the big pavilion that overlooks right next to the football field, correct?
That's correct, and those ones are available with a key when people rent the pavilions, or Charlie will set the timers if there is an event like lacrosse or football. So Charlie will make them accommodations.
Right. And the reason those are otherwise closed is because we've had some vandalism issues at both those locations, correct?
Right, that's been an ongoing thing. That every time we've tried to leave them unlocked, damage is done. So they're two isolated areas, so more so than the others. So yeah, that's the reason why.
Okay, thanks, Ray. Let's see. Oh, the next item is Avon Crest Park. So we currently, the town has a licensing agreement with Niskuna Girls Softball League, and Dave Epkarian is president of that, reached out to us, was interested in negotiating potentially an additional licensing agreement at Avon Crest. There's one field there, and he would like to do some improvements. Softball League would like to do some improvements and discuss a licensing agreement. So he is going to be in touch with Alexis about that, but just wanted to note that we had been someone had reached out to us about that issue. Blatnick Park, the next item on there is a licensing agreement with Lacrosse to use the Lacrosse box. Attached to the agenda are some photos of some recent issues showing some damage to the plexiglass and the outer rim of the box. I asked Alexis about the licensing agreement, which was initially, I think it was negotiated some years ago. And we put a good amount of money into replacing plexiglass and the walls around the lacrosse box. If anybody's ever been there, it takes a beating, and we put a good amount of money every year into replacing broken plexiglass and keeping it safe, the walls, etc. I would suggest that, given that the current agreement does not necessarily provide for lacrosse, it provides for their exclusive use, but doesn't provide for specifically for them paying for these items, that we should engage them, because it seems to be going up every year in terms of what we're investing in the box. So we want to be good partners, but we certainly cannot continue to bear the entire cost of replacing all these items. So I'm recommending that we have a discussion with Lacrosse and see what we can come up with in terms of an amenable arrangement to address these issues. Did I miss anything, Ray?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, we have talked about this in the past at other committee meetings, that the expense every year is just, and it can't really be pointed at one special group. I mean, other people use it. It's not theirs exclusively. But to be up to standard and not be a hazard to anybody, these repairs are needed on a yearly basis, and it's just a lot of money that we spend on that. Other than replacing, maybe a collaborative effort to maybe remedy how some of this is happening would be good.
Sure. Okay.
Right. Just one point. I talked about this with Paul Briggs, and we said we wanted to wait for direction from the committee on how to proceed with either negotiating an amendment or addressing who's responsible for the cost. Is that one of the provisions in this license agreement requires that the town put the club on written notice of any unsafe conditions and give them a 30-day cure period. So I know there's a little bit of a factual dispute of whether or not who's responsible for the cost, but I don't think that there's a dispute that there's an unsafe condition. So my recommend, I was just wondering, have you done that in the past? Would this be unprecedented? I mean, based on the pictures, it looks as if it's unsafe. So my suggestion would be to follow through with that, the procedures set forth in the license agreement, and put in writing that there's unsafe conditions at the premises, and they have 30 days to cure it. And then from there on out, we can figure out who's responsible for the cost of doing so. Yeah,
Ray, I don't know who you communicate with, but and how you do that, but that's the issue Alexis is talking about the communicating the issue. So we can talk about that, or you can, if you know, that you can share that, but otherwise we can talk offline in terms of who you communicate with and what you've been saying, and certainly what needs to be said this time around.
Normally I communicate with Jeff Scardino from Lacrosse. Actually, Jeff had sent me an email a few weeks back about the damages done there, and how we could remedy them. So I think there needs to be a discussion on that with Lacrosse, our attorneys, and come up with a solution.
Okay, Ray, maybe you could forward that email to Alexis.
Sure.
That'd be great. Okay, we talked about the baseball bathrooms. Then the next item under Blatnick Park was a continuation of discussion of reserving areas of Blatnick area for habitat, biodiversity. I know we heard from Ashok this morning. Does anybody else want to speak to this issue?
So Rosemary, we heard from the Bobolink guy at the last meeting, and then CAC was discussing it at the last CAC meeting, and it just seems like there's kind of a convergence of groups and people and interest in that. But one of the things we were talking about CAC is that Highway Department does mow 500 acres, and they take a lot of pride in the maintenance they have of our parks, and there certainly is a group of people that complain if they see high grass. So And then I think that, highway, rightly doesn't feel good if, people are complaining to them that they're not mowing and they don't understand what's going on. So that's what Ashok was trying to say. And I can share some examples that Ellen found. Ellen's on the call because she just has been researching signs all over the place, but that's really why we felt it was key, so that, nobody is like blaming highway for not mowing. And we would do community outreach and blasts and put up like these beautiful signs that say, this is a low mow area, we're protecting habitat, this is a good thing for the environment. And hopefully that would cut down on the complaints and create community buy-in, so that the highway department isn't torn between these interests. Because I certainly recognize that, we said this before, like, there's all these competing interests in the town of Niskayuna. And, highway, I think, sometimes gets stuck in the middle because everybody wants them to do something. So if there's a way that we can not stick them in the middle and have, a win for everybody, that's really what we were trying to accomplish with the conversations, and just hearing that there's different reasons for keeping that lawn longer.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And actually, I reached out to Mr. Thornton, and I copied, Josh and Lori on this. He was interested in the, Bobo links up by the, behind the baseball field, etc. And thought it'd be good to sort of overlay, at Ray's suggestion, overlay the, the geotab, look at the, the aerial picture of that area over, we also have the disc golf going on there. So to, take a look at both those areas, and have a greater understanding of, what could be done. Ray, they do a lot of mowing, but if they have to do it in sections, it actually sometimes becomes more difficult, because then they can't use the bigger mowers. But, yes, to your issue, competing interests, we want to, we want to do right by everybody. And to the extent that we can absolutely provide for all those competing interests, that would be a great thing. We're all in favor of that. So I would recommend, perhaps we look at those, those aerial photos, the maps, and trying to identify spaces together, right? Or collaboratively identify those spaces and see what works. And the signage, I think, is a great idea, because it does. You're right. We do get a lot of complaints about high grass, et cetera, because people don't understand. So through education, through the signs, we can educate folks, and people have a greater understanding. I think we can do that. So I would recommend that.
Isn't it so cute?
Oops. Oh, is that one of the signs?
Yeah. And so like they have a little QR code. So, and we could set this, and CAC is happy to do this. Like, we can figure out the signs. They're not very expensive. We can manufacture that. I mean, this is U.S. Forestry Service here.
That's adorable.
Right? And I'm going to tell you, like, this one's super cute. We're mowing less to improve pollinator habit. And they all have the little QR code with the bee in the middle.
That's great. That's great. No, I love that. So, so perhaps, maybe I could, Ray and I could come to the next, CAC meeting, and, have that, engage in that discussion, further, but, have a good understanding of the areas we're looking at. And, we could talk about what we could do.
Yeah, and then that'd be great, because Ellen is working with the schools on designing the sign for the pesticide-free lawns. You know how we want to acknowledge people who don't put pesticides on their lawns, like a positive reinforcement?
Yeah.
So we can work on the signs for you guys too, and maybe Asha can work on what areas work the best for biodiversity and incorporate into Bobo links, and
bring Mr. Thornton in as well, for sure.
Yeah, this is a short, like, if I may quickly jump in, like, during this meeting, I heard from a gentleman who said that the town has like 500 acres that they mow, and I'd like to hear that gentleman speak and say, like, 500 acres is a really, really big space. Like, are there some like, if you talk about Blackneck Hill, and we should talk about Blackneck Hill, we are talking about competing interests, but are there easy wins? Like, in those 500 acres, are there spaces that we can right now designate as low mow, and not many people would be concerned by it, especially if there is signage.
So maybe that's something that we could talk about when we have that meeting. Did Ray leave? Where'd Ray go?
Wait,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Yeah, it's Ray.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if he's still, I can't tell if he's still with us, but
I'm here.
okay. So Ray was sort of, if there were areas that came to mind immediately, if there are, we could speak to them, but certainly if not, we can, again, as proposed, sort of meet to go over this more thoroughly and identify some areas.
Well, yeah, I think there might be a misunderstanding. 500 acres is not one big plot. It's multiple, bike path areas, athletic fields, but.
Oh, I understand. I understand that.
That's why the mapping is important, to try to delineate and make it so that everybody has a piece. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So we'll do that. Right. We'll sit down and go through that and see what further ideas we can, or areas we can identify. Okay, Laura, let me know what, next meeting or what you want to set up and we can.
That sounds great. I'm just trying to connect people and make sure that, that people recognize the conflicting things that happen with highway, but I think that there's a way that we can find a way.
Yeah, no, definitely. And thank you. Thanks for the interest, and we'll continue that discussion. The next item on the agenda was tree council and complete streets, Laura.
Myself. I mean, the tree council, I just quickly had and I said this before, very thankful to Highway for all the spring help that they did. And there's just 2 items, and we've talked about this before, and I think we may have even talked about it at this committee, but I just wanted to bring back something to Tree Council on Thursday. They were hoping that their fall project could be the Blatnick Park sign. Blatnick Park is getting a lot of attention, and that sign is getting old, and I know that we've talked about it before, but they would like to maybe take some of the, I don't know where your budget is right now on trees, Ray, but if, there's a little bit extra again for the specialty trees, to do some plantings around the sign that has advantage of just, being in a single area, like sprucing up something where we've been trying to give attention to. And so they were really hoping that that could be their fall project for, early or late fall.
Yeah, majority of the tree planting budget has been spent. There is money in the miscellaneous, but probably enough to do a small project around the sign. I taken the cedar trees down before, correct?
Well, we had talked about taking the cedar trees down, but actually when the tree council was out there citing the new trees that you guys planted along the path there, and you guys took down some of the ones that weren't healthy and were leaning and thought were a safety hazard. They looked at the cedar trees again, and they do think that they could probably stay. What they were thinking is that we move the sign forward off of the cedar trees and then do some plantings in and around that. And then you don't have to take the trees down. They're good habitat trees. And we can probably just trim them up a little bit and then create, just by moving that sign like 15 feet forward or whatever, or maybe it's a little bit more than that. I don't know. And then create a new planting around the sign that won't overgrow it the way the cedar trees did.
Yeah, okay.
And then the only other point that we've talked about before is watering. And we have struggled to get tree planting grants, I think partly because we don't have a watering system for the trees that we plant. And we planted them early in the spring. I think a lot of them did okay because we got water, but we planted some of them later. And I think a couple of them got burned out. So I'm just wondering, and this is just, I'm not, Alexis says, I'm not trying to be like a dictator or something, just throwing out thoughts for the town is like, if there are areas that we can designate as no mow, we don't obviously want to take work away from the highway. Like maybe we can redirect and use some of the miscellaneous funds at the end of the year if we don't have to crane a bunch of trees to buy some watering equipment. And then, maybe one day, if there's areas that we can't mow, instead of mowing, we could designate the guys to water, and then we're maintaining, we're maintaining that investment. We're maintaining, the biodiversity that we're trying to get. And there's still essentially, I know you actually already have too much work, but there's the same amount of work. We're just kind of redirecting the work a little bit. So I'm wondering if we can just maybe work with the tree council over time to think about a watering system for the trees that we're planting, and then work on the fall project. That's the two things from tree council.
Okay, Laura, and if you guys have some ideas, I heard about the sign, but have you guys researched at all any, watering apparatus or options?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's like retrofit systems that you can put on the back of a pickup truck, which probably would make the most sense because we sort of plant all over the place, right? I don't think you need to buy like, a whole new piece of equipment, but there's probably like, water tanks and things that you can put on the back of just one piece of equipment that we might already have. It's all stuff that we're happy to research and come up with ideas and budgets, but obviously we would want to work with Highway, because if they're like, that's a bad idea and you guys don't work out in the field every day.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Kind of the input that we need.
No, absolutely. Obviously, they're the ones dealing with it. I just wondered if you had anything to, to offer, but no, absolutely has to work for them, and they know it works and doesn't work. All right, let's continue that.
Yeah, we also talked about the tree bags, but I think those are hard. And Ray can jump in here because, they're pieces of plastic that you put around the tree and then you fill them with water. And I don't know how long the water lasts. But so theoretically, you'd still have to be going and filling up those tree bags. And I don't know if that's a good use of resources, if it would be better to just get, like a tank that we could put on the back of the truck. I don't know. Those are all the questions that we were thinking of.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that the next item is Knott Street improvement plan, the mitigation study that we started conversations about. I know Lori, you've been very, very busy this past month. So I don't know where that stands.
I have talked to a couple engineering companies about it. They are happy to do a proposal for me. I just actually have to get kind of a consistent thing that I send each one of them so that they're all bidding on the same thing. But I do have several interested engineering companies, so that's just a matter of me getting something to them so that they can get it back to me.
Okay. Thanks, Laura. All right, we're going to move on to the recreation part of the agenda. Lori, you want to start us with the glorious summer programs that we've started?
Monday, our playground program started. It was, considering all the modifications that we had to make due to COVID, things went great. Day one is a little different than in years past, with temperature taking of both staff and campers and frequent hand washing, but everyone adapted, and day two was amazing. So everyone fell into place. The new routine was not an issue, and kids seemed to be enjoying themselves. All of our camps filled up. Two of the three filled up. And Avon Crest was not far behind. So I think we're doing a good job. And I think parents are happy. We haven't received any negative feedback, maybe one or two where the parents were still a little iffy about having their child with other children due to COVID, but that's totally understandable. But other than that, things have been great. Our tennis camps also started on Monday evening. Both age groups in 5 and 8 and 9 to 12 are full, and the teen and the adults still have some room. So I'm going to blast again to see if anyone else is interested, but everyone seems to be thrilled about that. And the Lacrosse camp was very accommodating, and they're rescheduled for the end of the August. They have a decent number of registrations. We're going to continue blasting. We don't want to overfill the camp because we want to make sure that it's manageable, but there's definitely still room for participants. And concert series, I'm going to ask Julie to jump in. I know there's been a lot of activity in this department.
There actually has been. There's been a lot of moving around. We had a lot of our early concerts were canceled, so we did try to reschedule those groups. and fit them in where we could. Our first concert was, what was our first concert? It was very successful. It was the Art Deco Trio. They are a lot of local musicians, and so they brought a lot of neighbors with them. We had our social distance circles painted out on the grass by the gazebo, and everybody just did a great job, sort of staying in their own space, in their own family unit space, and wearing their masks. Last Thursday night, we were supposed to have rescheduled from the Fenimore Blues Band. Mary Beth Archidiacono was going to fill in with the Doc Benson band, and unfortunately, very late in the afternoon, after a gorgeous day, I think about 5:15, the heavens opened up and it was thunder and lightning, and it was just a mess. So we had to do a late cancellation for that concert. Next week, or this Thursday, we are scheduled to have tomorrow night the Niski Dixie Cats, and followed by the week after the Mr. E Band. On the 23rd, the Bill Lawrence Trio, then the 30th, Loose Change. August 6th, we'll have Winchester and Young, and August 13th, Trip McNeely had to cancel, and we are going to offer that to Fenimore Blues, see if we can get Mary Beth Archidiacono back out there, give them one more chance, because they're just a wonderful group, and we really enjoy their music. So hopefully they'll have availability for that date, and we'll take it. We will continue painting the social distance circles, and based on the one concert, people seem to be enjoying coming out and having something to do on Thursday nights. So everybody keep your fingers crossed for good weather tomorrow. It's another iffy week weather-wise, so just fingers crossed we can pull another one off.
Yes, thanks, Julie. Thanks for all the work on that. And I know last summer we had a lot, it always seems like the day of the concert, you get that.
Thursday nights. It's Thursday nights. If it's Thursday night, it's going to rain in Niskayuna.
Right. And if we moved them to Wednesday, then it would happen on Wednesday.
It would be Wednesday nights.
Right. No, but it was. I heard the first concert worked out really well, and the social distancing was great. And actually, on the summer camps, it looked like the kids. I peeked in on Monday. I was over at Blatnick, and the kids were like pros. They're wearing their masks. They, following the rules. It's good. And as I mentioned at the last town board meeting, we're one of the few municipalities that's moving forward with this. And one of the reasons others haven't is because the task is quite daunting. And all of you have really taken this on and been really committed to serving our residents, giving our residents some respite, some opportunity for their kids to have some social interaction. And the task has been daunting. And you guys never wavered, have worked really, really hard, a lot of obstacles, and have created an opportunity for our residents that a lot of other communities are not, it's not available to them. So again, thank you, and job well done.
Can I interject one quick thing about the concerts? I just really want to give a shout out to our three supervisors. Excuse me, not about the concerts, about camp. Our three camp supervisors, Jackie Halpin, Katrine Rush, and Kayla Gallmer at our three locations. All three of them have been so positive throughout the entire experience. Every time I sent them a new email with more protocol or had to change something we had already told them, had to change it up, they have just been so accommodating, so positive, just determined to make it a fun camp experience. One of the best comments yesterday, I spent a little bit more time at River Road. I think with the little campers, I was a little bit more anxious about how things were going to go there. And when I was over there yesterday, just marveling at all of these kindergarten through second graders just going about their camp activities, wearing masks. Nobody seemed to be having any issues with it. The supervisor just looked at me and she said, "See, it's like regular camp." And that was just such an awesome comment. And it just made me feel really good. It made me feel like we definitely did the right thing. I understand that some parents might have some anxiety. And again, to each their own, but there were a lot of people who felt very strongly that their children needed this. And so I want to thank all of our camp staff for really rising to the occasion, because, some of the camp staff, I think, needed it. They needed a job. They needed to get out. They needed to feel productive. And our camp staff, our supervisors, everybody has come together to really make this program viable, and I'm really proud that we put it together.
Yeah.
So, and thank you to Ray and Charlie and all of the other people who just really helped us out in the last couple weeks. There's so many last minute things that sometimes are last minute, but sometimes we have, an extra month or two to plan. This year we didn't. So a lot more things became last minute, and Ray and Charlie and people, Josh Hawley jumped in and helped. Everybody just helped with things camp related in one way or another. And it really does take a village, because we couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it without all their help. So thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Yep. Job well done, everybody, as I said. So onward. I mean, obviously there's a lot of, things that have to still happen every day. Everybody's following the rules. There are a lot of rules. But again, overall positive thing. And thanks for everybody's efforts. I was looking at an old agenda, so I missed something. There was some discussion earlier about Lock 7 update. I just want to throw this in here. According to Canal Corp, it looks like Lock 7 won't open until July 20th. That's the schedule. And then the culvert work, and Ray alluded to the paving that'll happen. They'll be doing that in August. So he's going to follow through with that after they do that culvert work. But currently the schedule for the Lock 7 opening, according to Canal Corp, is on or about July 20th. So I just wanted to put that in there. Again, I had an old agenda, and I'm looking at the new agenda, and that was on there. It wasn't on the one I printed. So we are back to the driving range. So that's you, Lori.
Alrighty. The range opened up on Saturday, June 27th. The hours are daily 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., except for Monday evenings when they do a group pick, because mowing is done on Tuesday morning. The range has been getting a lot of business, which is wonderful. The people have been emailing and saying how happy they are that it's opened back up again, albeit it was a little bit later than we had intended, but still it was fantastic. And I want to do a huge shout out to Ray and his crew for jumping in when we had an issue the first week, with the ball washer, because it wouldn't work and we couldn't really sanitize balls unless it did. And also for the ball picker, because it was overheating, and they jumped in, fixed it, didn't bat an eye, and we're back up and running, and things are going great. So thank you very much to everybody for all their help. Fall soccer registration is currently open and will close on August 1st for early registration. Julie is looking for fall soccer referees, so we are going to blast information about that and registration again.
Lori, can I jump in here on the soccer? So obviously currently there are certain sports that are, permissible to play, and soccer is not listed among them. We have been opening up in phase 2, small group instruction has opened up for some, for all sports. And then some other sports have opened up, like softball, baseball, non-contact sports. So soccer is certainly, for those of us who've had kids play soccer, soccer is a contact sport. So it may very well be that our fall soccer program is more of like a fall skills soccer, program, just depending on whether or not we have the green light to operate. So I know we've opened it up. I know it's a very popular, thing in Niskuna. When my kids were growing up, all of Niskuna was at the Zenner Road Fields every Saturday morning, September and October. But, again, just as we've had to reimagine playground camp, we may be reimagining soccer as well. It might be more, again, as I said, sort of a skills thing. And our soccer referees might end up being more like, not necessarily reffing games, but they may be assisting in other ways. So as I recall, soccer starts, is it like the first Saturday in September? Is it the after Labor Day, Lori?
It is. It's the first Saturday after Labor Day. I believe it's the 12th.
Okay, and is it 6 weeks?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay.
Right.
So again, we're going to sort of have to play it by ear. I understand, there's a lot involved and a lot of folks, but that might have to be limited as well, number-wise, just the same way we did with playground camp. And Lori, I know Julie, I know you're very involved in obviously in soccer. You spend your Saturday mornings there as well. But so just more to come. We want to again, we're going above and beyond. You guys our staff is willing to try and deal with all the obstacles, but the obstacles are still there. We'll still have to deal with them. And again, we may just have to be creative. And the volume of people is not going to be able to be the volume that we're used to, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
registration is way down, and I'm wondering if that may be the case, but we also have a lot of last minute. Soccer is notorious for last minute registration. So
yeah.
Julie and I will put our heads together, try to come up with a plan B for skills and drills. And actually I wanted to discuss pre-K, because pre-K is skills and drills. But if we make them smaller groups, I'm wondering if this could still be possible. They do really enjoy it, and I'd hate to take this away from them, but if it's something that we don't think is feasible or practical, I'd be happy to take it off the table. But I was kind of looking for some guidance from somebody or thoughts on what everybody thought about this.
I can speak to the age. So, I mean, I think a lot, as we know, a lot can change in just even a matter of weeks. So I think that we shouldn't make any determinative decisions as it relates to, something that's not going to happen 2 months out. We don't know. I'm sure there'll be guidance issued every single week in between now and then. But as of right now, they say that in terms of consideration of age for moderate risk sports, you need to consider whether or not they're going to be able to follow the directions for social distancing and follow demands like not to share or touch other people's water bottles, and basically whether or not they can be playing soccer without their parent, following them after them, stopping them from violating social distancing. So, I mean, I don't know if that means that pre-K would be too young for that type of, us putting that type of responsibility on a 3 or 4 year old.
Yeah. So again, talk about competing interests, right? We know they enjoy it, and we'd love to be able to offer something. But in the same way that we sort of didn't, we cut some of the age groups out, the younger for playground camp. I mean, let's keep talking about it. We had some meetings offline, right? It wasn't just this. We got together as we were hammering through the book and protocols for playground camp. Let's have another offline meeting and have further conversations about this, about the ages and about to get the skills and drills.
Okay.
Okay. But I know it's hard, right? I know.
And they love it. I will say they are the group we have are, I think I want to say 4. We cut out the 3-year-olds. They do follow directions, and there was more of skills of learning how to dribble and pass. There usually is not a lot of contact, especially at this age. Parents do stay on the sidelines. So if we make the groups smaller, before they were groups of 40, if we spread out the time slots and make smaller groups, I'm thinking we might be able to, but this is a discussion for a little bit down the road. So it's still on the table. So, we'll make our decisions soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. And I did have one other thing to discuss that I forgot to add to the agenda before I talk about the Community Foundation. Oh my gosh, it just dropped right out of it. Oh, Fall Fun Run. I have been losing sleep over this because we have gained such momentum for this race that it's become a great family event, but it is also a very hands-on event where you're handing out t-shirts, you're handing out ribbons, you're handing out glow sticks. That I don't know if this can happen this year, and we have to kind of make the call soon. I have an email into our timing system asking them what their thoughts are. I've been researching. the runners' websites, and it's a 50-50 split where 50% have canceled the races and 50% have kept them. So within the next week, I think I have to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to run this, because it takes a lot of planning. Something we could still do, we could bang it out before the race, which is in the end of September, mid-September. But I wanted to let you know where I am with this, because it's just, there's a lot involved, but then I hate to take away or scale down what we've built up and minimize such a great day.
I had the same question that Alexis just asked. How many people do we usually have participate in this event?
Well, for the race itself, it's low. The 5K, we probably have maybe 150. It's the one run and the fun run that it is booming. I'm talking over 250. And they're, bunched together. There's a balloon lady making balloons. Like, there's a lot of hands-on that I think might be unsafe. So, and I don't want to cheapen the event and just scale it down and lose the momentum that we've gained. Because I think this will be our 12th year, and it's really been a great event. I don't know. I'm torn.
Let's include that on the list of items, to talk about,
You got it.
Between those two things. We'll continue that conversation like we have.
Okay.
Yeah, tough. All right. Thank you,
It is
Lori.
tough. And my last item is the Niskayuna Community Foundation. Yesterday, we found out that we received both of our grant applications that we put in were accepted. So for the community programs, we received $1,984, which will go for a blow-up screen, projector, Blu-ray player, 2 speakers, and cables, so we could have movie nights. We thought this would be a great activity if we have our social distancing circles, and it's just, we could have movie nights at the pool. Like, the possibilities are endless. So we were beyond thrilled to get that. And Lisa Stevens did an amazing job, as always, getting this application done and submitted. So kudos to her, because without her, I don't think it would get done. There's too much going on in this department.
Yes, that's wonderful. And has a thank you gone out to Niskayuna Community Foundation?
I just got the email yesterday, or the mail yesterday. So I emailed back our grant acceptance, which is going to be something that needs to be put on my resolution, accepting of the grants. Okay. So, and they got back to me already. They're thrilled. So, and I'm going to just jump in for Linda for 2 seconds, because she also did one for the seniors, and they have funding of $2,500 for a new bocce court over by the rec center. So it's a wonderful activity for seniors and anybody, bocce. So we're beyond thrilled about that. So
that's wonderful. If you could share with me the email, just so I can make sure we get a thank you note done too, and we can coordinate that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
That might be it for me.
So we need to add that resolution on there, right? I don't think that's listed.
Yes, and I don't know if you noticed, I had put fall soccer names on there, and I was a month ahead of myself. I'm already wishing away this summer, so that can come off until next month.
Yeah, that came off.
Oh, good.
So I think the other items had to do with the licensing agreement. Last week, I was contacted by Steve D'Agostino, who wanted to offer some basketball skills and drills for kids. I had a conversation with him. It's predominantly Niskayuna kids. So he asked, and Alexis was able to negotiate a licensing agreement really over the weekend, coordinated with Paul Briggs. We have the certificate of insurance in place. It means about $2,500 in revenue to the town. Avon Crest, 3 nights a week for 4 weeks. And again, more importantly, it serves our kids. It gets them physically active, and again, more than 50% of the kids are Niskayuna residents on Avon Crest. So, that we need a resolution on that, and then again, I'm not sure how quickly we'll get the licensing agreement done with Niskayuna Girls Soccer on the Avon Crest Park initiative that we were approached by. We'll see if that is ready for the end of the month or not. Farmers Market Committee, I did not, I was out of town, so I missed the last meeting. Supervisor Syed, are you still on the line? Maybe you could update us. So I know we're moving towards getting that started on July 18th, and we had to move locations. But Supervisor, if you're with us and you want to speak to that.
Sure. Yep. We're getting there. We're really close. Everything's moving along pretty smoothly. Getting excited. Here, we ordered all of the lawn signs that we're going to start placing to get the word out. We have all the signage in place to be placed appropriately at the time that they should be going out. So that'll be the big, the jumbo signs that we have. We reviewed the proposed layout of the farmers market. Everybody agreed that it looks like it's going to work pretty well, as Chief McManus had laid out. We're going to be ordering a vinyl sign for the gazebo that will hang too. That'll notify everybody that's driving by on Knott Street of the farmers market to come. And other than that, I know we do have the COVID safety plan that we're reviewing currently. I'm sure Alexis is going to take a look at that. Donna Evans was able to secure hand sanitizer that we'll be able to use. So as far as the market goes, I think we're heading there in the right direction. And really the last thing that we have to review and put in place is just making sure we have that COVID safety plan.
Right, and so there are a couple things. So it's going to be every Saturday morning, starting July 18th. We had to move it from the co-op area because of the social distancing issues. The space that the farmers markets, we started the farmers market in cooperation with the co-op. Another great partnership. The location next to their building is too small. It doesn't provide for adequate social distancing. So for this year, we looked for a place otherwise in town, and town hall circles seem to be the best. The parks, of course, we didn't want to interfere with potential use of those by our residents and potentially our youth sports. We just didn't know how that was going to go. We wanted to have one set location. So I did see those signs. I know there's some issue, Alexis, in terms of the agreements with the vendors. I know you need to look at those. And, again, the farmers market committee, the co-op, they were coordinating those. So if there's anything else in addition to that and the safety plan that needs to be taken care of, we need to take care of that, obviously. And July 18th is the start point. Are there any other issues, Alexis, or anybody else that need to be addressed?
One thing I just stood out is that in the plan, it says that, all vendors must frequently wash hands with soap and water. And so I'm just thinking by July 18th, are we going to be opening the town hall to the public on those Saturdays to go in and out of the town hall, these bathrooms? If so, we need to be sure that we're stepping up our cleaning throughout the farmers market, or if not, we have to, make it clear that they shouldn't expect that there'll be a place for them to wash their hands. I'm leaning towards the vendor should be able to wash their hands, because you can't, expect people to not have a bathroom anywhere. But I don't know if we want to just open the town hall to the general, unlock the doors, because then we're going to have probably heavy foot traffic, and we would need somebody to probably just sit inside at that desk downstairs to just make sure that it's not getting overcrowded.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a better option in terms of from the vendors, what other farmers markets are doing. That could be a question we could take back, to the group and find out what, because I agree with you. And then that's it's an added expense, in terms of having a body and then the cleaning, et cetera. If there's a way to provide for cleaning stations outside, and I don't know how that works, but Jean, you want to jump in?
I was going to ask if it would be sufficient to just say that the vendors need to sanitize their hands regularly, as opposed to soap and water. And would that cover it if they have sanitizers at their stations?
Right, yeah. Jean's part of the farmers market committee as well. So
this is so it gets a little bit specific. If you have certain types of hand wipes and that remove dirt before you would use the hand sanitizer, then that's fine. I was just thinking more about whether or not how long does it run from 9 o'clock until?
No, it's 8 to 12, but the vendors will be there. It's really, obviously other people aren't going to be there from 8 to 12. People will come in and out, but it's the vendors that they have the option. It doesn't mean they'll be there the whole time. That's just how long it's open. So I'd be interested. I missed the last meeting. I don't know if there was discussion about, what they're doing at the other farmers markets in terms of the vendors. And I imagine they'd be wearing gloves, just like everybody else is wearing gloves, and changing in and out of gloves for handling any items. But Jean, do you have anything else on that?
Yes, I can say that Donna did look at the regulations from other farmers markets when she compiled the list that she's circulated just most recently. So she has been looking at what other markets do.
Maybe we could share that, Jean, if there is something on that. If she had something, we can,
oh, sure. I thought that was okay. We'll make sure that you get that. And the other thing I was interested in is obviously we'd like to have a way of marking the area in front of the vendors' tables, because there is you want to maintain that distancing. So when I heard about your distancing circles at the concerts, I was wondering how you did that. Is that a spray paint or chalk or something?
Yeah, we ordered these custom. So I think what would be better for you guys is we ordered also 6 feet long stencils that say social distancing, and you just use striping paint to spray paint those on. And we ordered them custom, so you're welcome. I mean, I'm sure that the town would be happy to allow you guys to use this.
That would be great. I think we're only talking about 8 or 9 vendors at this point. It's relatively small, and we're certainly encouraging people to come, shop, and leave. That this is not the gathering of what a typical farmer's market might be. It's more of a come get your fresh produce and leave, and limiting family members to 1 or 2. So unlike the concerts, they're not being encouraged to linger.
Are there going to be overflow parking at the library and the high school?
I think we talked about the library, right, Jean?
We did, but we were more likely to encourage the high school so people wouldn't be crossing the street, that they would use the sidewalks to access the green. And that way would not require police officers.
The way we think there'd probably be good parking, obviously at town hall. So that whole parking lot's going to be used. That's going to be available. So we'll see. Are we meeting again, Jean, before the 18th?
Yes, on the 9th, tomorrow on the 9th at 5:30 Zoom.
Okay. All right. So we can talk about all these items as well.
Absolutely. Okay.
I can try to be on that call to just give high level points that are more specific to the plan as well.
Okay. We can talk about coordinating this other stuff. Thanks, Alexis. Okay. Anything else on that? Otherwise, we're on almost the last item, senior programs update. Linda?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So we are planning to reopen next week. We're going to limit it to Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're going to do a 2-hour window from 11 to 1. We're modifying the hours so that our seniors kind of get used to it, and also so that we get used to it, and we can kind of watch the flow a little bit to make sure that we're able to handle what needs to be done. So they're like puppies. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, people are all over the place. There's no like formal schedule that we're following. So we just want to make sure that we have our flow down, and we're doing our due diligence. So we're predominantly outside for the first week. The second week we'll be in and out with the same schedule. We have invited people to play cards, bring their own lunch. We may have bottled water on ice if they want to take those to go. That way, it's whatever you bring in, you bring out. So we have ordered Lazy Susans, which are like 22 inches in diameter. We ordered just 3 of those to put on the tables. We have 8 top tables in the lower level. So what we did is we kind of took a couple tables down. We removed a bunch of chairs, so there's only 4 people to an 8 top, and then we're adding the Lazy Susans for those people that play cards. That keeps them socially distanced at the table. Inside, masks will be mandatory. Outside, it's masks or socially distanced. We have plans to have a card table set up outside. We're limiting the entrance and exit points so that, well, they can exit any door, but they can only enter from the lower level. And we'll have a card table set up there so that we can kind of keep track of who's coming and going, and we can do temperature checks and whatnot. What else? We have outside sitting areas that we've gone to great lengths to set up. Ray brought over a couple of old benches that he had, and they are fantastic. They will help us immensely. We have the capacity to sit about 16 people outside, like in and around. There's like 3 different points around the facility, which is nice because we still have the access to whatever we may need at the facility. They can still go up to the pavilion if they so choose. They can always go to the pool if they so choose. But at least we have our, our working area and plenty of places for people to sit or do what have you. The third week, we'll broaden the hours 10 to 2. It's still somewhat modified, and we'll begin. We may begin in-person workout classes, but we're kind of reserving judgment to just see how things flow. Zoom and YouTube exercise classes, everything, all of that continues as is, just as we've been doing for the last few months. We did send a schedule out to the papers, so they have our July and August modified activities. We are trying to bring some entertainment in here and there, for people who want to do it. We can sit them outside or in, and there'll be plenty of space. So this is really just baby steps and an easy transition for a lot of different reasons. What else? We are working with Alexis right now to make sure that we get the facility hasn't been cleaned since the end of March. So we have to get that cleaned, and then we have to get it also disinfected. So we're working with her tomorrow. She's going to give us a run through on the thermometers. And I'll coordinate her with her on Friday when the cleaning crew comes. Bob, we've already spoken with Bob, and he's made arrangements to have the bus available in the parking lot on the lower level so that they can also do the bus at that same time. So that helps there.
Yeah, so that's already scheduled for 10 a.m. And then after they do, once they see the facility, so they base the price off of the square footage. And this is one of the buildings that they have not yet, this KPM has not yet cleaned. So we had to give them kind of a rough estimate of square footage, which I think is, much larger than actually the surfaces that they're going to need to clean. So after the first time around, they'll give us a better update on what it would look like for them to do this more regularly. I think we talked about perhaps on like Wednesdays, midweek. And then just if you're going to open the kitchen, then that would be a big consideration. Also, I just had put in the chat box, do you guys see a larger, more capacity on the senior bus on when you're having senior activities, meaning are there going to be more than 1 or 2 riders on the bus at a time? Because if
I think we said that our somebody at one point gave us the direction that 4 would be our maximum, and it's a 15-passenger bus. So somebody said 4 for distancing and what have you. I don't even know that that's going to be the case. When we talk to our folks, everybody's aware of our reopening schedule, and when we talk to them, some of them are they're ready to go. They've been they're waiting on us. And then there's the other half of them that are kind of like, I'm good. So, and a lot of those people that are more cautious tend to be our bus riders. So thank God for Bob, because he's just been with us through this whole thing. He signed up to do trips and to do, to kind of like transition with us so we could get somebody full time. And he's just in it with us. And he ebbs and flows really nicely. He knows all the people. They call him. They have a rapport, like their own rapport. So he is flexible, and he is happy to be staying with us. So he'll be picking people up and dropping them off on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but he'll still continue to do his grocery runs for people who need that, who aren't quite ready to come to see us. So we comfortable with that?
Yeah, can Bob attend or when we meet tomorrow at 1:30ish, can he attend? Because I think he should do the thermometer training as well, so that you can increase the capacity of the bus by just.
That's a good point. Let me call him and see if he's available.
Do the training. You can relay the information, but I think we should have one additional thermometer that's intended for the senior bus, because you're supposed to be screening visitors at the point of entry, and if the point of entry is going to be the bus that's for some people.
Yeah, we should have 3 thermometers, one for Bob, one for upstairs, and one for downstairs.
Yeah, I'll bring those with me tomorrow. And then I also have the floor decals that are the colors, so that specifically so senior citizens are able to see them.
Great.
So I will bring that with me tomorrow.
Awesome. Great. I'm looking forward to it. That's cool. I'll work with Bob and see if we can get him here. So what else? We have, so Ray has been very helpful, and he's helped us kind of set things up the way they need to be set up. He brought the benches over. He's actually going to come back when he has time because he's swamped, clearly. But he's going to help us smooth out those paths out by the garden area, just for, so it's easier for people, our seniors, to kind of get to and from without, the ground needs to be level in some areas. So it's not huge, it's not a crazy project. It's just, I need him. So we're working on that. That's on the list. In the meantime, we're making do, and I think we're going to be fine. As far as food goes, we have no immediate plans to restart, given the uncertainty of this whole COVID thing. Is just, it's very hard to plan. It's very hard to figure it out, and food makes me very nervous. I don't really want that responsibility right now. It doesn't mean that we're not looking at it. So we're working on it behind the scenes. We did lose one of our kitchen members, and he was one of our part-timers, and he just, he turned 90 this year and has just kind of said, I think I'm good. So he's content to just do other things right now. So that's another consideration. What else? We wanted to say a big thank you to the Niskuna Community Foundation also for their grant, because having an outdoor bocce area, that's something that we've had requests for, and people are going to be thrilled. And it appeals to a wide range of the younger and the older senior groups. So that's really something that's going to be fantastic and very welcome. So thank you for that. Have I left anything out? Ice machine. As silly as it sounds, we have talked about an ice machine. That would help us, because otherwise we're running to Stewart's and physically grabbing bags of ice to bring over. We use that for, especially now, like if we're icing waters or lemonades. When we go back to set up our coffee bar, which probably won't be until the end of July, beginning of August. It's also for those times when we run health fairs, caregiver fairs, or parties or events. We often need, ice in bulk, and they either have to bring it to us from the highway garage, or we just have to haul bags of ice from stores. So Ray was helping us kind of source that, and I'm not sure where we are with that. Somebody mentioned that we might not need a huge capacity ice machine. So if there's a cost concern, if you want to bring down the capacity a little bit, because our program is really, it's full program Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then we are there the other days of the week, but not to that, capacity. So that's a consideration. Other than that, I think that's it, right? Any other questions?
No, thanks again. You guys have done, again, fabulous job in terms of keeping connected with our seniors throughout this time. The newsletter, the postcards, the calls, continuing to be available to drive them. I've done a great job of maintaining that very important connection. So thank you.
Thank you. We are not stopping any of that, just to be clear. I know I didn't really talk about the program part of it, because it's so much involved with the preparation of getting this up and started again. But we are continuing to do everything that we've been doing throughout, and we will continue to do that until we know we're through this thing and on the other side. So, okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I want to add, I was hoping that maybe we could do a ceremonial resolution for Kenna in the kitchen. He's been there for, I can't tell you how long, and for a good portion of it, he was volunteering. And yeah. I think it's well-deserved. He never misses a day, always has a smile, and is truly there for the seniors and for the town. So if we could do a ceremonial resolution recognizing him, I think that would be great.
Okay.
That would be awesome. He's a super, super guy. He's been really really great. We did talk to Vito, and we've asked him if he could come in just for a couple of hours when we're open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just stuff like he would always, you know, we need one of the older freezers is you open it up and it's a block of ice, so that needs to be defrosted. He knows that kitchen in and out. We could start to kind of like take this time also to really do a military on that. You know, those special cleaning projects that don't get done when you just come in and do the broad stroke. He also can help us just with trash and disinfecting afterwards, in between. So if that's, I mean, at this point, we did have the conversation. He was a little, he's you know, okay. I think he likes being home, but he thought about it and he said yes. So he's going to come in tomorrow. We'll talk to him, and then we'll probably hope to see him for a couple of hours on those Tuesdays and Thursdays that we're open.
Okay, sounds great.
And that's it.
Thank you so much, Linda. Anything else? Open discussion. Okay, we need to schedule our August meeting. Looks like August 5th would work. It's the first Wednesday in August, 8 a.m. Sound good to everybody?
Sure.
Okay.
Will that be in person or online? Will it be an in-person meeting?
I don't know where
Fine. It's through. It's right now. I mean, the discussion is that Governor Cuomo will continue to extend the suspension of open meeting laws every 30 days, but his most recent one extended it through August 5th specifically.
Through August 5th?
Yeah, which is the date of the meeting. So meaning.
Yep. Yep. So I guess we'll plan for another video conference. If things change, we'll shift as well. All right. Anything else by anyone?
Oh, sorry, Rosemary. I just noticed that Kathy Adams stayed for the entire call. Thanks, Kathy. And she's actually the reason, or partly the reason, that we have that beautiful pollinator-friendly habitat garden that is growing so well. And I encourage anybody to go look at it over in the town hall parking lot.
Thank you, Kathy.
Hand-weeding it with her husband and everything. But she brought this up at the CAC meeting, and it's worth noting. GE has done some special grasses, and I didn't even notice until Kathy told me, but GE is mowing a majority of their lawn along River Road. So like the next time you're on River Road, look over. Unless you're looking for it, you wouldn't even notice. But they planted some special grass over there, right, Kathy? Like a fescue. She's muted. Anyway, she stayed the whole time. She really,
I think it is a fescue that grows long and you don't have to mow it, and it's absolutely beautiful. I think you mow it maybe once or twice a year, just to keep other things from getting established within the grassy area. But go by it; it's really beautiful. It's right on, right close to that circle. And I fully support Ashok's efforts to bring more biodiversity and help the pollinators. And thank you, Laura, for all your support, and Supervisor Syed for helping get the solar pollinator garden established. I really appreciate it.
And we think, right, because we were like, we're just going to plant the plants ourselves. Oh, it's all gravel. Can we have topsoil? Oh, it's really hot. Can we have mulch?
And right, yeah, that's right. He's been very cooperative.
I fully acknowledge that, but it looks great right now.
Thank you.
That's great.
You're muted.
Thank you. So I was just saying thank you for all our visitors. We'd love to have folks, residents check in and see and participate and see what we're doing and contribute to that overall effort. We really appreciate it. And we'll continue this conversation offline in terms of other things we can do to address, all the interests, all the great interests that we have in town. And again, thanks to everybody for their time this morning, for all your efforts always. Our next meeting will be August 5th. We'll do 8 a.m. just because that's the traditional time. If anything comes up, we have to make any changes, folks, let us know. We can figure that out. If there's nothing else, we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone.